No, we're good. Okay, guys, as we said, is foreign aid crippling Africa? I would like to hear what you think about that topic. So, let's begin.
I believe it'll cripple Africa because if we were to go in and we sent in so much aid, as in like medical aid and some religion aid, if we believe that some people believe that they need to spread their religion and some military aid, we'll start spreading our culture, and eventually some people will think we need to overthrow the government, so we're going to have this type of government that they have, and then we'll end up overthrowing their government.
I disagree with Hunter because, we know what happened to South Africa. So don't you think that we wouldn't make that mistake again? And that, but people are dying. We can't just let them stay there and die off. Yeah.
I'm kind of on the edge about this because there is some good reasons about why it's not crippling Africa, but then there is some good reasons why it is. But I was just going to say, we should try to give to as a hand up, not a hand out. Because if we give it to them often, we just keep on giving to them, they're going to be dependent on us. So they're dependent on us. They're going to be dependent on us to give them food, to give them water. It's like if your mom never lets your hand go, you're never going to go anywhere.
But the thing is, you don't want to. The thing is, you don't want to give them too much aid. You don't want to pretty much overdo it and say, well, we're going to give you all the money to support your country. We're going to give you all the food you need. You need to sort of let them. You need to teach them how to grow their own food and how to find water and how to make money and stuff like that.
I agree with the comment that Jessica made that you have to give it to them as a hand up, not a handout, because they will start depending on us, and it'll make them lose all their old traditional economy type religion stuff like that, and they'll just become another America.
I agree with y'all too on that because in the article I read, it says the budgets of Ghana and Uganda are more than 50% aid dependent on the foreign aid they get. So without that aid, they're just they just only have half their budget. So they're really dependent on us to give them that aid.
I said Cole, in Liberia, 70% of its national income is foreign aid.
I believe that we need to mainly focus on health aid than economic aid, because the article I was reading, it said the aid towards the economy is making the poor people even poorer and making more people become.
Not to your group, not to me.
But they didn't do any specific statistics, but it said that it's making poor people poorer.
It also said in my article that per capita GDP, the standard of living is falling down. And it said it has declined an average rate of 0.59% between 1975 and 2000.
Well, what I'm thinking is we do need to help them medically and with food and stuff, but with economic aid, I'm sort of against that because some of the countries are new and they do have problems with their economy because they've never ran a country before. If you sort of help them set up their government and then you just help them with medical aid or say they need a lot of food, then send in food, but let them deal with their own economy, I think that would sort of help them.
Well, their economy, it hasn't hardly had any growth because only about 6 out of 29 African countries have performed well and had growth in their economy.
I agree with Dan when he said poor people are just getting poorer, because in the last page of the article Ms. Floyd gave us, in the last sentence, the last fragment, is poor people are trapped within extractive economic institutions, which means they're always going to be trapped in this cycle of just getting poorer and poorer and eventually just dying. But these countries are going to die out from foreign aid.
But if we weren't just giving them foreign aid, but we were helping them, and we weren't just but if we were just if they didn't have a democratic democratic government or something towards a republic, something that they can vote in, we could help them go towards that, or if it was their economic aid, we could help them go towards that by giving them little by little to help them build up.
I disagree with Jessica because what she's saying is putting in the money doesn't help. It's just a vicious cycle. Well, the thing is, the money slows it down so they can find a solution to fixing that problem within time.
But I don't think we should send money because the governments are keeping most of the money that we send to them. So why be lazy and just send money when they're going to keep it anyway? Why can't we just send like missionaries over there or something like that to actually help them and help them learn how to like stand on their feet and run their own economy?
I also read that in an article. One of the governments, they've been keeping $12 million instead of helping their country. They've just been keeping it for the richer and the big cities instead of reaching out to their people that are in poverty.
My article also said that the governments, since they need help and they don't know how to run it good, that they have mainly been throwing the income out, putting it towards foreign countries, like say trade, for example. They're using it towards trade and they're not using it correctly.
Well, with the economic aid, I'm sort of against that because it says in the last paragraph of the article, if you want to do something and have no power to do it, it is some word, but it means poverty. Like black people in South Africa before 1994, poor people are trapped within extractive economic institutions, which means they don't have a say. You know, they can't go up to the government and say, we need help because we don't have the money. The government's just going to tell them, well, you're poor, so we don't care as much about you, so we're just going to keep it for the richer half.
But every country is entitled to its rights to decide their own policies. So they need to come up with better policies for the poor and the homeless, or something that will help their citizens.
Foreign aid also hasn't been able to provide a good education. For example, from the University of Liberia, 25,000 students failed the exam.
Going off of what Rebecca said earlier, foreign aid isn't going to end poverty. It even states that in the article. If money alone were the solution, we would be along the road, not to just whatever that word is, the lives of poor people, but ending poverty forever. Foreign aid isn't going to end poverty. It's all going to the government, and the government can be greedy with it, which they most likely are.
But it's neither going to start it either.
I agree with what Anna said earlier. It's like poverty is like living in jail, living in the bondage, waiting to be freed, which kind of backs off what I said about the vicious cycle. It keeps on going until somebody has to stop it. And foreign aid could slow that down, like Cassie said, but it's not going to completely stop all the death and stuff. And I was just wondering what Austin's view on this was.
Okay.
Well,
Well, my view on this is, like, I don't think Europe, like it says in the article, British takes 8.7 billion euros into foreign aid. I think that's too much, but in health and government, I understand, but don't, it's hard to say, but don't, like, pour a bunch of money into a country, and then when you leave, they don't know what to do, and it'll cause chaos.
Yeah, but also, like, for the healthcare, like, say, because, like, I saw this, doing some articles, like, you give them, like, healthcare meds to protect them from malaria, like, someone's, like, making that in that country for their, like, employees to make money and for their family. But if we give them the meds, those people go out of business, and so they aren't getting any money, they're going in poverty. And so then, like, in fewer years, when the nets get torn up, there's nobody to make more nets for them, so they have to get more nets from it.
Well, going off what you said with the thing, but it reminds me sort of like if you just leave them straight and say, well, we're leaving, you have to know how to run your government by now. You don't just abruptly leave. But it's sort of like when we were pulling our troops out of Afghanistan and stuff, when we were helping them set up the new government, we didn't just go straight out. We gradually left, but we still helped them a little bit.
It also states in the article that some countries have gotten themselves out of poverty without foreign aid, like Indonesia.
But, like, I disagree with what she said, but we have hoped for that for so long that, like, don't you think that if that was the case, it would have happened by now? Like,
I mean, it
they
has,
would have gotten out of poverty by now?
It's only been like, what, 31 years.
Well, let me remind you of something. Remember why Africa is different from pretty much the rest of the world. And this has to do with the history that we talked about and what has happened with Africa.
Also, it's not been able to get back on its feet, like Ms. Floyd said, because we have been taking its resources and we've been taking them, making stuff, and then selling it back to Africa. So we're in some kind of cycle, taking their money for their resources.
yeah, like what Punch was saying, like one of my other articles, it says, like instead of like giving them food, you buy food from them and distribute it out.
Well, the thing is
So
with,
you like get money.
the thing is with that, when they're taking that money and, well, they're taking their things and they're selling it back to them, they're taking their money and foreign aid, they're giving it back to them. That's probably why they're spending like $8.7 billion on foreign aid each year.
I wanna go back to what Ms. Floyd said with why Africa's different. Well, Africa's different because, I mean, every continent has pretty much been colonized by European colonization. But Africa was controlled by Europe for so long that they were stripped from their resources and their land is no longer valuable. And I think, natural problems such as desertification comes into that too. Cause maybe they don't have anywhere to farm them or boost their economy. So maybe foreign aid might be a solution to that, but it's not really helping.
When we had that cartoon with the political cartoon where Africa was dug out, like, people in Africa are living off the scarce resources, so I believe that foreign aid money should go towards, resource organizations to help, like, grow more trees and prevent desertification and prevent further taking more resources.
Well, the foreign aid is being blocked by the corrupt governments. So, like, I found an article that was stating that UK gave money and foreign aid strictly and straight to the schools and not passing it through the government. So they were actually able to do something with that foreign aid without the corrupt government blocking it.
Well, when I was reading one of my articles, it was explaining this. If different European countries or America, if we do foreign aid and we say we want to set up a shelter for homeless people and we want to have big facilities that give out water or give out seeds and stuff for farmers, then have the government, pay the government like a little amount of money, say we need just permits to build this, and then it can help your country's economy, then we should do that instead of going to the government and saying, here's some money, give it to the poor people, and then them not giving it to them. You just need to set it up yourself.
Yeah, but they're so corrupt that if you give them any money, they won't use it for what they want it, like what you expect them to use it for. So
Well,
let's give it back.
But also, if we were to go in and we were to tell them to do this and they didn't do it, and just had to do it ourselves, we would eventually have to get control of the government. Like, whenever Hitler was in control of Germany, we had to go in and stop Hitler.
Well, like, you don't go straight to the government and tell them, we're doing this, and you're gonna help us. You just go and simply say, we need permits to build this, and you can help us with that. And then you give them, like, say, whatever it costs, I don't know how much it costs to get like a permit. You give them that, and they say, okay, well, here's your permit. Then you can set up that facility, and every month or so, go in and check on that facility or something, and then you can give money straight to that facility once it's completely set up and not even have to go through the government.
But how are we going to know that they're not faking
Yeah.
having, like, every time you visit, they're just gonna take that they're letting people